and then to see the rest of the nation actually come in behind us and say, you're right, you're right. Parents should make these decisions, not bureaucrats. We should respect parents' decisions for their children. And if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. And if you don't want your child to wear a mask, don't wear one. And this is where Virginia has been leading, and I am so encouraged.
We are joined now by Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, who joins us from Liberty University. Governor, thank you so much for joining us.
Doug, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be with you.
Now, I know you didn't have a chance to see this interview that we just did with Luke Rosiak, the investigative reporter, in the previous segment about woke ideology and how it's infested schools, but that is the very issue, perhaps above all others, which propelled you into office.
Well, what we saw last year during the campaign was just a clear recognition that parents had been pushed out of making decisions in their kids' education. And it manifested itself in all aspects, from whether there was sexually explicit materials being discussed in the classroom that parents should know about, all the way to parents just being listened to about getting the schools open again when they were closed on an extended basis. And so I was really, really encouraged by the real coming together of Virginia. It wasn't Republicans against Democrats. It was Virginians coming together to clearly state parents matter. You know, in the Code of Virginia, in law, it states very clearly that parents have a fundamental right to make decisions with regards to their kids' education, their upbringing, and their care. And we have steadfastly reinforced those rights and defended them, and I'm just so encouraged by the direction Virginia's heading.
Well, at the same time, though, you are still meeting resistance. I know when on your very first day in office, you issued, I think it was 11 executive orders, among them getting rid of mask mandates, and there is still resistance to this very day.
Well, change is hard, and particularly there's going to be folks that like to preserve the status quo. And the reality, of course, is that we were elected by Virginians, and we won the independent vote. We had droves of Democrats come across the aisle, and we were sent to Richmond to really put our day one game plan into motion, and that's what we've done. And so I understand that change is hard for people, but we're persistently pursuing it. And I've been so encouraged by the bipartisan nature of the way many things have gotten done. In fact, you know, the mask mandate opt-out for parents was actually turned from an executive order into law on a bipartisan basis. I mean, this is where Virginia has been leading. We've been working on this for over a year. And then to see the rest of the nation actually come in behind us and say, you're right, you're right. Parents should make these decisions, not bureaucrats. We should respect parents' decisions for their children. And if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. And if you don't want your child to wear a mask, don't wear one. And this is where Virginia has been leading, and I am so encouraged.
One of the many attacks that your political opponents have leveled against you because of all this is the tired old war horse of a criticism of racism. People are beginning to yawn at that kind of a thing, especially when they see what you have done in Virginia. Even the Washington Post calls your administration the most historically diverse in the history of Virginia, with Winsome Sears, your running mate, lieutenant governor, the first African-American woman to hold statewide office in Virginia, the first Latino as Attorney General to hold statewide office in Virginia. This appears to me to be a model for Republican candidacies across the country. For the life of me, I don't understand why more Republicans don't follow your lead and go into inner cities, go into minority neighborhoods to make the case for why they should be aligned with the Republican Party. Why don't they?
Well, I found personally that when we brought our message about low taxes and better schools and safe communities and actually empowering Virginians as opposed to government telling them what to do all the time, that in fact we were embraced. I mean, we had record results in the Latino community, in the Asian community, in the Black community. We saw Virginians come together. And as I said, I know that there are folks that want to maintain the status quo because it fits their personal ideology. But what we're seeing, of course, is a clear recognition that there are strongly held shared values, hard work, opportunity for all. Yes, loving one another and respecting one another, but not having to concede our shared values in pursuit of that love. There's a chance for us to really do this differently, and that's why I'm so excited. I'm not a politician. I'd never run for office before. And I felt compelled to change my vocation and go serve Virginians. And I will tell you, the number of people who come up to me as I travel around this Commonwealth and say, you know what, Governor, I was not going to vote for you, but I'm so happy that I did, or even I didn't vote for you, but I'm happy that you won. Because what I see happening in Virginia is a coming together around a common shared view of future, opportunity, small government, low taxes, great schools, empowered parents, investing in law enforcement so that we can have safe communities, and a government that works for us as opposed to telling us what to do all the time.
You've already mentioned two occasions in this brief interview, low taxes. We are seeing a movement in Congress tonight by at least 3 Democrats, I think more. We're seeing it by Governor Newsom in California to offer handouts to help pay for higher gasoline prices. You're taking the opposite tack. You're trying to get low taxes passed. You're running an advertisement, apparently, in Virginia right now about a special session that you want to call the legislature back into session.
Yeah, what we've seen, of course, is that the runaway tax and spend mentality has settled into Virginia as well. And we've seen overall receipts into government all of a sudden be projected to exceed expectations by $14 billion. This is Virginians' money. And so we have this most unique moment to cut taxes and reduce the burden on Virginians that are suffering from runaway inflation, grocery prices running away, gas prices making it ever more expensive to live your life, housing prices, utility bills. And so we can cut taxes and bring the cost of living down and invest in education and in law enforcement and in mental health. This is the result of overtaxation for a number of years. We can bring the taxes down and invest, and I have to get our legislature back to get this done. I've asked them to come back on April the 4th and send me a budget so that we can go to work for all Virginians.
Shifting gears now to your campaign again, Donald Trump endorsed you. You welcomed his support, but at the same time, you kept your distance from Donald Trump. You threaded the needle. How did you do that? Why did you do that?
I don't believe that I threaded a needle, or some people say walked a tightrope. No, I actually hugged everybody. The reality, of course, in our campaign is that I was the one running. I'm the candidate. And therefore, I was really speaking to Virginians as a Virginian about kitchen table issues that impact all Virginians. High taxes and a real decline in education and unsafe neighborhoods. And so I was running for Virginians. And so we just didn't bring in lots of people to in fact, confuse the moment about this is for Virginia. I think there's a different way to embrace voters, and it's to listen. It's to sit around the kitchen table as opposed to just have them hear from you in their living room on their television set. This is a moment for us to reflect on how are we building a Republican Party. We need to build a Republican Party that sticks to our values but embraces everyone. There's room in the Republican Party for all Americans and all Virginians.
2 more questions for you. People are already talking about you as a potential presidential candidate. Would you entertain such a thing?
Well, I am so humbled by that, but I've got a job to do right now. And I've got a 4-year term as Virginia's governor, and we've got a lot of work to do. I do believe that there is a real recognition that the kitchen table issues that we ran on resonate across the country. And I hope in 2022, all of the Republican candidates just embrace that idea. Listening to parents and parents' rights, getting taxes down, and it really, really encouraging folks to stand up for law enforcement and yet recognize that we can, in fact, embrace reconciliation between the communities that law enforcement serves and law enforcement. But we have to stand up for the men and women in blue in order to make sure our communities are safe. There is a way for us to bring people together, and I am really confident we're going to do it in 2022.
Last but not least, faith is an important part of your life. You're at Liberty University right now. I know that you and your wife actually started your own church, non-denominational Anglican-based church, in your own basement in McLean, Virginia. What is your faith all about? How is it important to your governorship?
Well, I'll be forever grateful to my wife, Suzanne, because she brought me to faith in my 20s. And my life has never been the same. And when I wake up every morning and I think about a day ahead of me and I contemplate the decisions that we have to make, I know I can ask for help. And that's the way I start every day. During this campaign, there were ups and downs, but I always knew there was a partner in this, in the Lord, and I asked Him for help, and He protected my family, and I was just amazingly humbled by the fact that He was seemingly engaged in everything we did. You know, I do believe that there's such a bigger picture here. You know, God's not a Republican, He's not a Democrat. He rises and transcends all of that. And our job is to not try to make His will fit ours, but to make my will fit His. And I'm incredibly humbled that He is willing to listen to me. And through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, I get a direct relationship with God. So this is a moment, I think, for us to just reflect on what we're called to do and how we're called to serve. And I am just so humbled to have a chance to be serving Virginia right now.
Governor Glenn Youngkin of Virginia, we really appreciate your time. I have a very strong sense we're going to be hearing a lot more of you in the months and years ahead. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you'll come back.